So with that being said, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right in. I don't think you guys can see this stuff behind me. I might get up and write on the walls at certain points. But the timeshare presentation, why it was so lethal. So from the minute, Mackenzie, you bought one? Yes. Anyone who's come on and actually bought a timeshare, please let me know. Because this was like the most psychologically insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And I knew that it was happening to me as it was happening because I look for these things. I build sales presentations for a living. I've sold millions of dollars worth of sales and stuff. And I was just like, holy shit. And it almost got me. I'll share more about that and when it almost got us and what that looked like and everything. But it was crazy. From the very get-go, it was all about building this timeshare. So I want to wait one more minute because I know it's when the bot blasts, the stragglers can come in late. So the timeshare presentation, it was incredible. So we went to a really nice resort in Maui for the week of Thanksgiving. And it was incredible because from the very beginning, from the minute we checked into the hotel, everything over there was structured as a pitch to sell you shit. It was incredible, right? So I'll share with you how that works. So what they started with was the bait. They had bait at the very front of the desk. What do we have bait to get people to do with our advertising, our advertisements, our lead magnets, anything like that? We need to bait people who are in our target market, who work for us, right? And the reason why the bait works for people at a resort is because guess what? If you're having a vacation, you're at a vacation, you can afford to be there, you're there, you're their target market. So boom, they've got you wrapped up in your target market, right? And then they hit you with the bait, and the bait was intense. They started off with giving away a check. It looked like a check, right? And it was, they called it an equity check. And it was for $563 or some shit. And someone was like, what's this? And I'm like, oh, here we go. That's when I realized we were going to get pitched and it was a timeshare. And that's when I started documenting all this stuff because I was excited because I wanted to share it. And I've never been through a proper timeshare with the same set of sales eyes that I have now because it's been a long time since I've been one and I just, didn't even pay attention, right? So we started with the bait. And it started off with this equity check. Oh, go check in at the front desk over there so you can plan your tourist events, blah, 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 get your free gift. We're like, sweet. So they bait you with a check that's like, is intriguing, right? It's like, what's this about? How do I get $563? How do I build this into it? Blah, blah, blah. So we went over to the desk and we started talking with them, right? And they kind of given us the spiel. They're like, oh, so if you sign up for this timeshare presentation, we're going to be able to, get you XYZ things, blah, blah. We can get you scuba diving for $1. What events do you want to do? And I'm like, oh, I want to go snorkeling. And she's like, well, we can get it to you for $1 if you sign up, come to one of our timeshare presentations. And I was kind of like, going back and forth with her. And then she ended up giving us another $100 off a luau. I was like, okay, cool. I want to do a luau anyways, which when the retail price, that was like $450. And she gave it to us for $1, right? But what was important about that $1 is they were able to get our credit card up front because they were very big on having a credit card and all this type of stuff. They asked us some qualification questions, how much we made, things like that. But they sneakily grabbed the credit card. And to the unbeknown person, we all know, marketers, we know how powerful it is that you give that credit card away, right? You have that number because you can just charge it later. You can just resell it later, right? So they got us in with the bait and they bought us in and I was like, I knew what was going on in regards to the actual pitch. I was like, let's sign up, let's save some money. We'll go through this thing. So we got the credit card, which is a very, very sneaky way of them not needing to pull it out when they go for the close. When the close got really, really aggressive. So like, cool, I'm gonna sign up. We got a couple things. They offered a ton of stuff, right, guys, for bait. There was all kinds of things. Anything you could do, helicopter rides, all this shit, all for a freaking $1. And I was like, okay, sweet, because they're not losing money. They got partnerships with these things. They make so much money, it's crazy, right? So we've got the bait. So far, they found the right audience, the right market, because if you're vacationing, you're the right market for timeshare. They put the bait, they get you with this check, the unbeknownst people want to go find out how do I get $500 or how do I get a free thing? All I have to do is sit through a presentation. No big deal, right? And so we do that. We sign up for a presentation and the presentation was, a couple days later. And that is when, the reminder process. So one thing I thought was fascinating. So before I get into the pre-frame and, kind of walk down some of these steps that I've got up here, the reminder process was intense. So they called us the night before to remind us about their time spot. They called us the morning of, and they called us 45 minutes before. The fucking roan, the last time they called, it was funny. Someone was like going to throw the phone against the wall. She was like yelling and screaming and shit. It's like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, this is what we do, right? We're just texting everybody. So they're literally doing like a live funnel as I'm walking through this. And it's brilliant because it's exactly what we need to do online. We need to remind our prospects. We need to fish in the right spot with the right people and get them pre-framed. We need to have bait for them to come in. And like, this is so cool. Like, I literally thought it was neat that they called us 45 minutes before. So we go downstairs to the presentation room, right? And I'm like, man, I've seen sales pitches before. You know, this is going to be no big deal. I'm not going to buy anything. Fuck that. Timeshares are a scam. And so, but I was curious to see how it goes because you hear so many stories about the aggressiveness, all this. So we get greeted, right? We go sit down at a table. They give us a number. You know, we're getting ready to go into a big room for presenter hall. They separate us before they go into the presentation. They actually have the salesperson who's assigned to us come up to us and start talking with us. And she came up and she played it so nonchalant. She's like, you know what? You know, I don't really care if you guys join or not. You know, I'm just going to share with you some cool ways that, you know, it makes sense. And, you know, if it makes sense to you, welcome to the family. We'll get you signed up. Sound good? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And it's that right there. The trial closes started right then and there. This chick knew exactly what she was doing. Sam and I, you know, we make decent incomes, right? And that was listed on there. So I'm assuming we got one of the top people, right? And I was like, huh, this is interesting. Because she just kept saying, she said multiple times in like 5 minutes that we spent together, yeah, I'm just, you know, it's not an aggressive sales pitch. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. If it makes sense, we'll get you in the family. She literally got us to say yes like 3 times in that 5-minute period. She introduced herself, built some rapport. Oh, where are you guys from? Oh, this is great. You know, getting us pre-framed, ready to go, almost kind of mocking the presentation process, which I found interesting. I'm like, okay, because, you know, they were really playing against the idea of the aggressive timeshare thing because they know that so many people are coming in with this, which is something that you guys need to do, by the way, in your sales presentations. This is a quick tangent that I want to share with you guys because I want to relate this to the sales process as much as I can here. One of the best things you can do when you're going through your sales pitch, your process, is to differentiate yourself. By that, I mean you need to make your offer not just doing Facebook ads better than the last marketing company that the prospect worked with, right? You need to have an entire new opportunity. Oh, but we've got landing automation, we've got follow-up, and we've got lead handling training, and we've got sales coaching, whatever it might be, right? And call your system or call your offer a name, right? When we started calling our offer Patience on Demand, our sales went through the freaking roof. You know, just call it something else, the unique mechanism to help them reach their goals. It separates you from just being another Facebook ads guy, right? So really important thing to think about. And it's something I'm going to do a big training on later in regards to offers, positioning, stuff like that. So now, and then what you want to do actually with that is throw rocks at the generic Facebook ads. Oh, you were doing it that way? That's stupid. It's exactly what she did. She came in here and she's like, oh, the old way of timeshares is dumb. That's nothing like that. It's not a timeshare thing. This isn't even a timeshares. You don't even buy timeshares. You just buy points. I'm like, okay, sweet. So she's pre-framed us now. She has let us know, you know, hey, it's no big deal. She's told us multiple times it's going to be no pressure sales situation. More on that in a minute. She said no pressure, blah, blah. And she's gotten us to say yes several times. Like, oh, if it makes sense, we're going to buy it. I'm like, okay, cool. So we go into the pitch, and I've got my notes here because I want to walk through how they ran the pitch. They ran the pitch exactly like the perfect webinar. Like they ran it beautifully, exactly how I teach inside the Crusader program, how to build video sales letters, how to set up. They ran it beautifully, right? So they get you in there, and it was just unbelievably designed. So they've got a dude up there who gives a presentation. There's about 20 of us in a room, right? And they've got a big visual presentation. And at the beginning, you know, he's cracking jokes about, you know, hey, we're going to get you guys back out there really quick. You know, we know nobody wants to come to this. He's basically breaking the tension in the room, right? Because he knows that there's most people going to that room with a certain stigma about timeshare presentations, which is one of their limiting beliefs. So as you guys are going through your process, you need to look at how you can set up your sales pitch to eliminate the limiting beliefs. And that's exactly what he did. From the very beginning, he started talking about that. He was like, yeah, this isn't, you know, like your typical timeshare thing. We're going to share with you guys some cool stuff, how to get you guys more vacations. That was the main benefit, right? How to get the average family to take more vacations, right? That was their main goal. And that's what they're selling off of. More on that on a second, right? So he builds rapport with us with that. He talks about who he is, how long he's been there, what he's got to do. He makes it seem like he doesn't really want to be there. He just kind of has to do it because, you know, the company wants him to and all this stuff. Like the whole time from the salesperson to here, they're just kind of making it seem nonchalant. Like, yeah, look, guys, you know, they're almost making it seem as if they have to do it. They don't really want to, even though these are very, very highly paid sales professionals. They're just playing psychological warfare with us, right? So after that, he sells the company, right? He builds up. Okay, so sorry. He builds up. He eliminates some of our limiting beliefs immediately. He builds rapport with the audience, and then he actually, before he sells the company, he starts future pacing to the point where he actually asks people in the room to raise their hands and be like, Susie, if you could go anywhere in the world, and they're like, you know, Bora Bora, Fiji, you know, random things, but he wrote them down on a thing. And he's like, okay, great. He didn't really address that very much. He just wrote them down, because what he's going to do is be future pacing those people to go and be able to go take those trips to the Bora Bora, to the Fijis, to those things. Okay. So they write them down. He future paces the hell out of the audience with this idea. He starts putting in all these ideas for, what do you call it, for where they can go and how they can get there, right? Which is what you guys need. We need to future pace all throughout your sales pitch. You must be future pacing, okay? And so that's what he's doing there. He's future pacing where we're going to go. And then after he's done the future pace, he's got some engagement from the audience. He's got their attention. He's cracked some jokes. He's eased the tension. He's already begun to peel away the limiting beliefs that timeshares are a scam and this is, you know, the blah, blah. Because they keep talking about this new model, They're literally using an opportunity switch on us. Oh, excuse me. And then he sells the company and builds credibility with the company, right? And the company's massive. Diamond Resorts is the one that we went to. It's one of the biggest ones in the world. They have like 8 billion properties. They're magical, blah, blah. They can be anywhere in the country, you know, all this shit. And he starts really, really building up the company. And he builds the credibility with them. And he shares celebrities that are with them. And he shows, oh, look at this. We've got, you know, Michael Jackson's doing us. And, oh, we're in Disney World. And, you know, really starts building up this fantasy of vacationing all the time and how amazing it is to be on a vacation. And they're catching people right in the heat of the moment, because most families, when they're going on vacation, they're having the time of their lives. They're excited. They're in a great state. So now he's getting them pumped up again because he's entertaining, he's future pacing them, and he's sharing about the company and building up all these places to travel. He's planting the seed in their heads. Hey, you can travel anywhere you want. Okay. And then after that, what he really starts doing. And so this is, guys, I hope you guys are getting some of this. This is exactly how you want to structure your pitch. Everything you're saying, from, you know, breaking the tension at the beginning, telling them where they're going to go, future pacing them, and then building credibility, right, with what you're going to do. This is exactly how you guys want to run your presentations. And then he starts hammering home the limiting beliefs, the false beliefs, guys. And they're starting with this in regards to, this isn't the old model where you buy or trade just 1 week, okay, because that's what a lot of people think of as timeshare. So they're really paying against that. And what they did was they kept talking about this point system. Oh, you can go anywhere in the world, whatever the hell you want, anytime you want, and you're going to save a bunch of money. That's like what they're pitching, right? And he starts really breaking these things down. And he starts painting this picture of the families being able to take all these vacations and travel all over the world. And it's going to be so easy. And you're going to be able to do all this shit for, you know, so cheap and, you know, all these great things, right? And the biggest pain point that I took from the market and based on his presentation that they want to eliminate, and I talk all the time, guys, about eliminating pain and focusing on the pain, is the average person needs more vacations. So they started using, you know, all these examples and how little your average person takes a vacation, your 9-to-5er, you know, these types of people. And so they're really pointing this home and calling them out and making them feel bad, because he's literally digging in the pain during the presentation at this point, because he's saying things like, the divorce rate's 50% because you can't take vacations. You and your kids aren't going to be close because you're not taking vacations. This is when it started getting serious. And this was when I was like, holy shit, this thing is freaking built like a champion. Because you can just see the look on the faces of the people in the room, especially the one with kids and stuff like that, because they're playing on this pain. Because who isn't guilty? You know, what 9-to-5 person or anyone really doesn't feel guilty about not taking up vacation time with their family or their friends or anything like that, right? So he's digging in that pain. The same thing I always tell everyone to do on their sales calls, dig in that pain, right? And then, so he's hitting on the emotional side, right? And then he starts hitting on the logical side, which you have to, you know, like, people buy based on emotion and they justify on logic. So he's tackling both of these things over, okay, which is fascinating, right? Because then what he starts going on to is how vacations are just so expensive and it costs all this crazy money, and he's building all this, you know, crazy shit, right? And it's so expensive. You want to take more vacations. He's getting us to nod our head yes the whole time, right? So the trial close aspect and getting people to say yes throughout your presentation is incredible. It's something that we've implemented in our sales process, and we're very, very deliberate about getting them to say yes as many times as possible. For example, I'll give you guys a couple quick examples. I don't want to get too far away from the timeshare thing, but I want to share with you how it can relate to, you know, selling a business owner marketing. Is we are always asking, sound good? So at the very beginning of our call, hey, we're going to ask you a couple questions. We're going to share with you more about what we can do and how we can work together. Sound good? Yeah. Hey, does this sound like, and then we'll explain something. Does this sound like you're looking for? Yeah, it does. Getting him to say yes over and over again. There's a power to that. They call it the powerful, getting people to say yes, nod your head, be in agreement, right? So now we sit on the logical side in regards to, costs, what it is. And I actually took this screenshot, and I don't know, this was a hilarious point during the presentation. He was like, what the hell are you doing? Because he actually pulled out a whiteboard like this, and he starts writing all these freaking numbers. And I got a picture here. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but I'm going to share my screen for a second, see if we can do it. And he was like, what the hell, are you taking pictures? And then he starts going off. He's like, what are you doing taking pictures? So he doesn't know that I'm there to really learn and take advantage of the process, right? And see what I can learn from a sales point of view. But I don't know if you guys can see this. So he drew this crazy math, right? And this was the most intense value stack I've ever seen. He basically started talking about how much the points would be worth, because this is when he started explaining the product a little bit, not super intensely, but explaining a little bit, and how points, if you buy, 10,000 points today, it's always going to be worth today's dollars. Meaning in 15 years, when there's inflation, that $10,000 today is going to cost you $150,000 in the future. But essentially, you're getting that locked in price for the rest of your life, which doesn't make any sense to me and is a broken model, and it's going to break down at some point. But the way he value stacked it was so intense. I was sitting there like, this is insane, because he's breaking down and future pacing again what it's going to be like in 10 years. It's going to be so expensive in 10 years. You got to lock in your pricing now. That's essentially their main offers. You pay us, the XYZ price now, and I'll get to what it costs in the close. And then you can lock in that price 15 years from now. So he does this value stack, right? And literally gets it up to some absurd number, $200,000, some crazy thing. For a $10,000 vacation, I was just like, damn, bro. He legit just walked us down an insane path, and it was fascinating. It was absolutely fascinating. And so I wanted to share that stack really quick. Hold on, let me pull up my old screen. So he's built the stack up. We've gone through that. And then just like we do in a webinar, just like I teach inside the Crusaders program how to close, just like how we close, the value stack, everything, it doesn't matter what you're closing, the value stack works. You're building up the value massively, right? And then, so he's gone from emotional, knocking down limiting beliefs, emotional, pulling on strings, you need more vacation, there's a 50% divorce rate in your family, you need more time with your kids, people are stressed out, they're dying, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes logic, and then he builds up the value for the price of logic. So right now our emotions are on high, right? The average person who's really sucked in, because he's also very entertaining, intriguing, and everything, okay? And then he gets emotional one more time. Right? So he brings it back to the emotion, because we buy based on emotion, justify based on logic, right? A lot of you guys have probably heard that, but that's, really the case. And then what he does is he says things like, you've got multiple options here. You can continue not taking vacations. You can end up being one of the people who get divorced. You can live a life of, stress, things like that. Or you can talk with us, talk with one of our guys, see if it's a good fit, get your family more vacations, get you more happiness. Basically, they're selling happiness, right? At the end of the day, that's what a vacation is. But they're using all these tactics to use it. And he gets really aggressive with the close, right? Really pulling on strings. It's crazy. And if you ever heard, Russell Brunson do a webinar close, or, any good webinar people, right? They're doing this can't talk. They are doing this, at an expert level. So he talks about that, continue not taking vacations, multiple options here, basically making it seem like it's the opportunity of a lifetime, right? And then what he does is he leaves us with a final video. And this final video is the excitement one. Now it brings back all the fun. It shows all these fun trips and all these people doing these crazy things. It shows all the celebrity endorsements and really starting to build this credibility and value within your mind. And I'm just like, damn, this thing is fucking lethal. It was so sick about how it broke down, right? And then so they watch this video, and then it's like, that's all I got, guys. Go talk with your rep, blah, blah. And then they push you to the back of the room. And then this is when the closers come in. And so that was intense. But this is where it got really intense. And this chick, who seemed very, very nice and, calm, and was just like, if it makes sense to you guys, we'll do it, starts coming at us, right? And she doesn't start coming at us hard at the beginning, right? She says, what you guys think? How often you guys travel? What do you guys do for vacations? And Sam and I are obviously unique. We've traveled, every single month for the last 2 years, right? So it's kind of, we're not the average case here. But she's like, oh, it's perfect for you guys then, because now when you travel, you get access to all these resorts, and you can do all these crazy things, and you're going to get this locked in price, and you're never going to have a problem getting, you know, rooms, and you're going to be able to save so much money, and, you know, trying to do all this logic stuff. And I'm like, huh, this is getting interesting. And then she showed us examples of, you know, renting, because I buy hotels and stuff all the time. We're going somewhere this weekend to Dallas. I was just in Miami, right? And so I'm like, God, if this could save that, then I start thinking, God, if this could save me a couple $100 every time, maybe something like this could be worth it. You know, maybe we need some points. You know, I travel all the time anyways. What if I could use these? And so now my mind's going like, shit, you know, maybe this makes sense. And like literally, like, and I'm not even just saying that, like it literally did start making sense to me. And so basically, you know, she gets into the points, talks about it, and she has something that she had prepared for us already. And it was like their starting price point. And I knew for certain that they weren't going to start at their main price point. But again, it's because I know price manipulation, price tricks. I could see in the average person who doesn't understand what's happening with the pre-fame, the pritch, the close, you know, this type of stuff here, that they would be like, oh my gosh, blown away, right? Because she offered us, I get 1,000 points, I don't remember the exact point number, for 40 grand. And I was like, all right, you know, okay, 40 grand, whatever, what can you do, blah, blah. And this was for life, right? And then you own it for life, and you own all this real estate, and you own all this cool shit. And then what she did was, you know, I got to go talk to the sales manager. I'm like, here it comes. Here we go. Because we run this in our office. So there's been times where our sales guys come up to me and I can see him, you know, and he'll just come over to be like, I've got him on hold right now. I'm asking if I can drop down his price $500 if he does it right now. And so I knew it was coming. I told Sema, how much you want to bet they drop it? 50%. And lo and behold, she came over and it was a $20,000 deal. And it was like for 10,000 points, and we got all this crazy shit. And she was just showing us how much we would save every time we travel, and we were talking with her. And honestly, both Sema and I are like, huh, this could make sense. This could literally make sense. And I knew what was going on, like, as it was. And I was like, God, am I really down for this? And until she said the maintenance fees at $1,100 a year, that I was like, all right, now we need to block it down a little bit. What's going on? And I'm like, I really want to spend 20 grand. And it helped that I had already been a little tired of traveling and some of this stuff. And I've been traveling a ton and, you know, all this shit. But we were freaking close. Like, we were seriously about to buy. At one point, someone looked at me. He's like, should we do it? And I was like, shit, I don't know. You know, and I knew what was going on the whole time. But that's how good the presentation was. That's what happens when you walk people through the perfect sales pitch. The shit that I was talking about, it's so powerful when you play the psychological warfare with people. And it's the same thing always. You know, I've seen it in all the best pitches. It's on all the best webinars. It's in all the best pitching from stage. They follow very similar processes, right? So after going back and forth, you know, we let her down. Something like, you know, $1,100 maintenance fee sounds stupid. You know, we're not going to take that many trips. We want to travel less next year, you know, all this stuff. So finally, we had to break it to her that we had to say no. And she was like, oh, well, sure. She's like, are you sure? Well, what about this? You know, well, what about this? And we're like, nah, you know, she kept asking, oh, this was what's sick, right? The opportunities that they gave in order to close. She's like, well, is it the down payment? It's $4,500. Well, here's what we can do. We can get you for $0 down, get you a credit line, set you up with a new credit card, and get you a $4,500 down payment. And then you can just pay the payments of that. And so they break it down in all these payments, and I'm like, fuck me. They're taking people to freaking the graveyard here. That's when she started getting aggressive about the $0 down, 6-month sales, you know, 6-month no interest, which is just a complete scam, right? They're just taking advantage of people. Now, I'm always about consumers need to be aware and, you know, all that stuff. But then I was like really getting turned off, and I was like, okay, no, if I'm going to pay for it, I have $20,000 cash, and I'll pay for it in fucking cash. Like, stop. And I was like, God, they're really reaming people here with these low payment options. And they had a 16% interest rate. 16 freaking percent. That is astronomical built out over time. Absolutely insane, right? So we finally say no to that. I convinced her. I'm like, no, it's not the down payment. It's because we don't want to travel and we don't want to do this. And I just don't necessarily believe that we're going to have the opportunities and everything available. Because then it started getting like, okay, well, you know, what if there's nothing available? I've heard these stories, and we kind of just started getting a little turned off, and you know, after we were close and everything, right? So then this is what came really interesting, right? So she's like, fine, that's okay. You know, if you blah blah, I'm gonna lead you outside. I'm gonna have you talk to one of our customer service reps. Now we sat down with a customer service rep who was going to ask us and give us a, have us take a survey. And this is what got hilarious. This is where the downsell came in. This guy was not a fucking customer service rep. This guy was 100% closer. This guy came in and pitched even harder than the last person. So he gave us his last ditch effort. He's like, for $4,000, you can buy 500 points today and you can do all this crazy shit and you can get a blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's only $4,000. And he literally just kept going. At first, he spent like 2 minutes being like, how was the pitch? How was the experience? Blah, blah. Try to seem like he cared. And then all of a sudden the pitch came. And the pitch was insane, right? Like he literally asked one question and then went into a 4K downsell. What I'm sure a lot of people would take out, right? Like, and what was crazy to me was when he came up, he literally said, I'm the customer service rep. Just want to take a quick survey. Like that's how they positioned it. They made it seem, okay, fine, we're out of this. But then they were grilling us and pushing us. And then he's like, okay, I can do 4,000 here. It's like, okay, well, I can bump you down here. I can add these points. And they just kept having this leeway. And I was just like, no, dude, like, just let me get the fuck out of here. Because at this point, I was getting a little tired. I was like, dude, I'm not going to buy, this type of thing. And Sema was definitely, getting a little tired of it all. And it was crazy because of the way that they positioned that last downsell. But again, it was a full-blown funnel. The whole thing was walking through a giant funnel in real life. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible and just awesome. I loved it, right? Just absolutely loved the experience. And we almost bought. Like there was a minute there where we were close and I almost pulled out $20,000 and I'm like, here, let's pay for this. But thankfully we didn't because we went and looked at the reviews afterwards and it was absolutely terrible. And I was like, phew, thank God, I knew what I was getting myself into. But man, it was crazy. It was absolutely nuts. So I'd love to hear any questions you guys have or thoughts. I'm about to go through the comments right here. I see there's a lot of them. I didn't want to get distracted on the pitch, but it was just fascinating. So many things that we can learn from in regards to what we can do and add into our own sales presentations. Anyone who have an opportunity to go to a site timeshare sale, go watch it. Don't buy it, but watch what happens. Watch how it goes and pay attention to what people are doing. So I'm going to check the comments a little bit and then do some recap on the agency influency live stuff. But yeah, Christian, hardcore, absolutely hardcore. Sema, yeah, I got pissed. What's up, Ross? Let's see here. Mackenzie, they didn't know we were marketers at the time. I did ask some questions that got people thinking that maybe like doing something else. It was ridiculous. Mackenzie, I see your question. I'm not sure if you're still on, but was it window? No, this one was a Diamond Resorts, and it was all about the points because that was their opportunity switch. Miles, what's up? What's up, guys? Jerry, awesome. He sold timeshares 30 years ago. I know there's tons of opportunity. The commissions I heard are crazy over there. Yeah, it was nuts. Let's see here. Yeah, Mackenzie, Russell is the biggest advantage. Even though you know what you're going into, you can still be sold. Mackenzie makes a great point here. Russell Brunson stole hundreds of thousands from staged marketers. He sold 10 million at ClickFunnels this year. It was insane. Miles, yeah, she wasn't the best. She didn't understand us because we were such a rare breed. And like one of our biggest concerns was like, we're tired of traveling. We're tired of being on the road all the time. I'm excited about the mastermind I'm going to in Dallas because it's really, good content, but like I've been on the road too much. No. Oh yeah, that's right, Sema. That was when we got it. So we asked her to look for a hotel in Florida the weekend we were going to be there, and there wasn't like anything available or any savings or anything. That's when we're like, gosh, we're never going to have anything like that. It was crazy. Michael, what's up? What's up? Arnie, what's going on, man? Arnie, go, bro. I just broke it down, but I'm telling you right now, dude. If you're on here still, bro, go to the pitch and walk through it and open your eyes and take notes. I have so many notes on it. And again, I don't know if you got in here late. You can watch how I broke it down. But it's literally like walking into like one of the most successful live funnels ever. Because at this point in time, most people know or have heard that timeshares are a scam. Yet they're still making billions of dollars selling these things over and over again because the pitch is so incredible and so amazing. And then they keep you locked in forever. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Raul, it was nuts, man. The 1-2 punch was crazy. I wasn't expecting the downsell, right? Like I was expecting the close and all this, but it was such an elaborate process when I sat back and went through it. I'm like, they did everything. They found the right target market. They gave the right bait to get people's information. They collected the credit card up front. They met with us before the information and pre-framed us and tried to ease any tensions we might have had about aggressive timeshare sales. Throughout the entire pitch, they're eliminating limiting beliefs. They're playing off emotional factors. They're building value. They're running their own version of a value stack. They're building authority by showing celebrities and fun and playing off people's feet and stuff. Then they're bringing you back to the closer who is, you know, asking you questions. She's playing price manipulation tricks on you by halving the price and selling certain things and having leeway with that. And then they're taking you to a downsell where it's a guy who's supposed to be a customer service rep and he's freaking out there trying to sell another $4,000 package. It was nuts. It was crazy. Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. Arnie, do it, dude. I'm telling you, bro. It is it's so unique to see it, knowing what I know about, you know, webinars and sales pitches and sales presentations and one-on-one sales, watching it through those eyes, game changer. Guarantee, Arnie, it'll be worth your time. I promise you, dude, you'll learn something from it that you'll be able to put in. Anyone who's on here who wants to get better at sales, come into it looking for these specific things, and you're going to see it. You're going to see these. You're going to see the bait, the pre-frame. You're going to see how the pitch is structured and learn things about how we should structure the pitch. It was fire. It was intense. And I almost bought. Like, I literally almost bought. It was awesome. So yeah, Lyle, it is crazy. Oh, Mackenzie, I know. Love how we all love breaking down a timeshare. I do, because I want to go see where are the best sales pitches, you know, in the world, right? Because that can help us influence get our products out there and services. Now we're going to provide better service, right, guys, than, you know, the timeshares are, and make people happy with our fulfillment and our products and everything. But like, it's really, really fascinating how if you structure things in a certain way, your chances of closing the prospect are significantly higher. For anyone who's on here who is afraid of sales, who doesn't like sales or feels like they don't want to be salesy, and you think I might be being salesy by talking about this stuff and, you know, getting excited about it, like, we got to eradicate that. We got to realize that if we have something of value to provide that can solve another person's solution, or solve another person's pain, if we provide a solution to their pain, it is our duty to learn this stuff, to learn the pre-frame, learn what the pitch should look like, learn how to close aggressively in order to get their product in their hands, because we know we can help them. Now, if you can't help people, you got no busy selling your shit to them, and I'm not suggesting that, but you can learn so much from it, because timeshares have sold billions and billions and billions of dollars. Michael, I bought one in 1991. I love it. I won the negotiation. That's awesome. Arnie, I don't know if it's still worth it if you buy one, bro. It might be, though. Who knows? We literally were this close. Someone looked at me, she's like, should we buy it? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe. Like, I was literally about to drop 20 grand, and I knew what was going on. I was even taking notes in my phone on the different parts of the pitch and what was happening, right? Like, I was like, oh, man, this makes too much sense. Because they structured it in such a way. This is what we want to do with all of our offers, guys. This is what we want to do with our webinars, with our sales calls. We need to structure our offer through our pitch in a way where they just can't say no. And the way to do that is to eliminate your objections ahead of time, right? And the only way to eliminate your objections ahead of time is to know what they are coming in. The timeshare companies know their market. They know exactly who they're going after. Okay, they know exactly what their big fears are, their big concerns. They need more time with family. They need more vacations. They're worried about divorce rates. They're worried about their kids growing up and not spending time together. They played on those beautifully. And that's what you guys need to know about your market for whatever your product or service is selling. And when you run them through a demo, that's how it needs to be structured, right? And you can find out a lot of these things through a call one-on-one sales versus webinars. But if you're doing webinars, you have to hit everything, you know, all the way through. But if you're doing one-on-one sales calls, it's a lot easier, you know. But you've got to know these things so you can set your pitch up in dominoes in a way to stack them over so that way they end up want to buy. You've got to get them to be like, well, it just makes too much sense. How could I not buy? Because that's how they'd almost place it to me. And I literally, like, knew what was coming. That's why I was so mind-blowing. Let's see here. Blake, yeah, should we do it? Good for you. Good for you. 2 free nights at the resort. There you go. They always giving that bait away. But it's literally the same thing that we do today online. We're giving bait away. We're giving lead magnets. We're getting people in, drawing them in, right? You know, we're just doing it in different ways. This is the ultimate real life funnel I've ever seen. It was crazy. It was crazy. Justin, sales cures all. You are right, my man. It absolutely cures all. Literally, if you have a product or service that helps somebody, it is your duty and obligation to solve as many people's pain as possible. That's what good in this, guys. When we're able to provide a solution to people's pain, that's where true fulfillment comes from, and that comes from being able to sell and influence. If you don't want to use the term sales, that's fine. Use the term influence. Move to make a decision, right? Like, that's what we got to do. And there's ways you can structure these things to do that, right? And this is what I study so much of on, and I teach, you know, inside the, you know, the Crusader program and all this stuff, because it's so powerful to be able to move somebody to make a decision and buy from you. let's see. What almost Luke, did you buy one? I see Luke talking about how he bought one and his manager came over and proceeded to high pressure us till we bought. It was crazy. It literally was positioned in a way that was made too much sense. It was the ultimate pitch. It really was one of the most perfect pitches I've ever seen. You could tell that the pitchman was up there and he'd been doing it for a long time. Everything was well orchestrated, and they just crushed all the limiting beliefs, guys. And there's a couple things that I want you guys to take from this that you can use into your own presentations, your own webinars, your own sales calls, is you've got to know your market's limiting beliefs, okay? And every market has general ones, right? If you've got a subset, a niche, if you've got a true niche, which you should hopefully have a niche. If you don't, that's a whole different discussion. But you should have a niche. And the general niche, they all typically run into the same problems. Now, individually, you might come up with a couple specific pain points that you address, but in general, niches typically face the same problems for the service or solution we're providing. So you've got to understand what those limiting beliefs are. So that way, when you structure your presentation, your sales pitch, your webinar, whatever it is, it knocks those things over. So that way you can eliminate the objections before they ever even come up. Okay, so that's what you guys got to understand. And then also, a couple other things that I want to share with you. Pre-frame them. Okay, and what do I mean by pre-frame? One of the biggest things, this shift has been huge for us. We say multiple times throughout our calls that we're going to offer them something. If it makes sense to work together, we'll talk about how we can work together and how we can help you out. Sound good? Yes, right? Because so often, especially when you're new at this, and I used to really, I used to do this myself, is we're afraid to say up front early on that we're actually going to be asking them for money. And you've got to realize, you've got to say, hey, after it all makes sense, after we walk through everything, we've asked you some questions, we're going to talk about how we can work together. Sound good? Sounds good, right? Like, you've got to plant that in their head ahead of time, right? You've got to pre-frame them, let them know that you're going to be offering to work together, and start showing them what it's going to be like working together with the future pacing side of things, right? Like, yeah, if Dr. Mike worked with us and, he was struggling to see any types of results. Now he's seeing $150,000 cash services a month. I mean, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like, start pre-framing them, guys. And then really, really your pitch should be deliberate. Now, and when I say that, it should be based on some sort of a script, something to follow that's proven to work, right? And a lot of people get caught up on this term script. And I see this a lot in certain groups and certain areas of people who usually aren't selling a whole lot of stuff. But like, oh, I don't want to use a script. It's inauthentic. It's inauthentic. It's like, that's not what I'm saying. And we're not saying sit down and read off a fucking phone word for word what you're saying. It's more about how you position your questioning and how you position your framing. All right, it's not being inauthentic. Your job is to help provide a solution, and if that person is in pain and needs help, to get them to buy, right? And so you need to position your questioning in a way to do that and not worry about becoming across as inauthentic or non-salesy or whatever that might be, right? So those are some takeaways. I enjoyed sharing this stuff with you guys. I had a blast. I highly recommend anyone who has an opportunity to go see a timeshare pitch to go do it. It's fascinating. Be looking out for these things right here. They do an amazing job of this. It's the best example of a real life funnel I've ever been through. Like, from the moment we stepped on the property, they're indoctrinating us. They're getting us posted about this thing. Like, they've got timeshare presentation, and it was fascinating. So let me know if you guys have any more questions on that. Man, I'm going to jump into the next topic here that I was going to talk about. This one I'm going to talk about only for a couple minutes here. Maybe I'll do its own thing, but a recap of Agency Influence Live, and the amazing event that we just had this past weekend, where there was a ton of people who were able to join us, and from inside the program, from inside the Crusader Nation, from inside this group, were able to join us, and it was just incredible. And the main things I want to say on this, guys, is if you're getting started and you're starting out, like, go to these events, invest in this shit, okay? Especially if you're newer. It is nothing like being in a room with like-minded individuals, people you've probably never met. If you're new, you've probably never met a digital marketer face-to-face, right? Because when you're getting started, your family, your friends, we're not in this stuff. Getting in a room and being able to and seeing that all the real, normal, regular human beings are succeeding at this shit, they're building businesses, they're changing lives, is one of the best things you could ever do. I mean, I remember my first event I went to, in 2016 with Billy Jean, and I had gone to his because, you know, I joined his program, and, you know, one of his ideas, you guys know my story, I even told it this morning, was huge. And that was so powerful for me to see so many people who are, you know, doing this shit and, you know, actually making money with it. And so invest in yourself. Go to these things. It's really, really powerful to do that, right? And the other side of things is networking, right? It's the amount of people that I've met through networking and going to these events and talking online and being active in groups is life changing. Be active in groups, guys. For the first, up until 2016, and you guys can go back and check my Facebook profile if you don't believe me, I'm pretty sure I had one status ever on Facebook. I never interacted with anybody. I never wrote anything, didn't use it. I'm like, God, it's fucking stupid. Was the guy who was always, you know, if I was on there, I was reading about other people, or even in the forums I used to join, never participated. But I started participating inside some of these communities, and everything's changed. And some of my best friends are now inside these communities. I met Sema inside these communities. People, you know, like a ton of people on this call, Luke, Arnie, you know, you guys, Michael, you know, a ton of you guys who are on this call I met from inside the communities. So if you're someone who's on here and you're watching, you haven't, you know, put yourself out there and started sharing and talking with people in the communities and all this stuff, talk to people. Life is so much easier in this business world, in this agency world, in this online marketing world, when we got people that we can connect with and talk to, right? Like I just connected with a guy who you guys probably know, Alex Slinsky. He's been a great friend of mine for, you know, over a year, and just had a call with him, you know, just to say what's up. He's my boy. You know, we're planning a trip, me and his wife and me and Summer are going to take a trip together. It's so great to have those. And not only for friends, right? For people who fight the same battles as you, because your regular friends, your family, they don't understand this stuff. They don't get what we're going through trying to start this whole online thing. They think it's some sort of pipe dream that's not even real. And so when you start talking to people and meeting people who are real and it is doing it, then you start getting this belief factor. And that's what I want to circle back to, you know, the going to these events. Once you go to the events and you start seeing and meeting some of the people that are actually doing this stuff, your belief factor goes up like 9,000-fold. And when you believe something, that's when you can start doing it. You know, I talked a lot about this morning in regards to you have to believe first before you can see it in real life, but it is the absolute truth. And the way to believe it is to go be around it, surround yourself in it, immerse yourself in it. And no, I'm not selling tickets to any fucking events or anything like that. It was just an awesome event to be at, and talking with some of the people that had come and flown out, and some of the newer people, and how it was life-changing for them and all this stuff. And I remember that. And it was. I went to events that were life-changing for me. There's been several of them, right? So it's so powerful to do that, guys. So go to the events, go to things like traffic and conversions, go to ClickFunnels, go meet people, go surround yourself in these rooms so you can start building these belief systems, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that you're going to learn everything you could ever need from, you know, an event like that. You don't. It's not like a private mastermind where you're getting trained 8 hours a day. But it's more important almost just for the networking, the belief factor, and one idea can change your whole life. You know, one idea from one of those things can be huge, and you can start building up the motivation. And I'm going to circle back to the networking friends thing. I can't tell you how important it is to be able to have friends. If you're running into struggles, you're running into issues, you can just message one of them and see what's up. Hey, how are you handling this? Hey, what are you doing here? Because most people are willing to share what they're working on, what they're doing, especially when you become friends, right? You know, I can reach out to people, hey, what are you doing over here? What's going on? You know, and how can you help me in this spot, right? And having that is huge. Because me, even though I might seem super extroverted, all this stuff, I literally have a weird, and I still kind of do, have a weird aversion to writing things online and putting myself out there. Even if you look at my personal profile right now, I don't write that much. I don't share that much stuff. I've always felt, you know, and maybe it was because I was a punk when I was younger, and I'm like, oh, only, you know, people who are needy or, you know, attention whores put stuff on social media. It's something I'm still working on to get over. I'm uncomfortable posting, you know, things like testimonials from inside the Crusader program, even though there's hundreds of them. You know, there's people doing freaking insane shit in there, right? I'm still uncomfortable with that. So I'm working on doing that. But get uncomfortable, guys. Go out of your shell. Participate in groups, share, network, and most importantly, learn how to give the freaking perfect fucking pitch, guys. It's right here. It's beautiful. If you're jumping on late, I would highly recommend you go back and watch this one. I think there's some really good shit on here. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to check the comments here real quick. Miles, they were not referring to it as a timeshare necessarily specifically. They were throwing the rocks in the timeshare. They were calling it their points program. So it wasn't a timeshare, it was a points program, is really how they put it. Scripts are essential, and it's not necessarily to be inauthentic and just sound like a robot. It's so that you have something to follow that you know is going to work, right? And what's hilarious is we opened all of our sales calls with, I don't use any type of a script or anything, but yeah, I'm going to ask you some questions. It's fucking hilarious. Never hear my sales guys say that each time. Michael, I appreciate you, man. I'm looking forward to meeting up again, dude. Auden, awesome. Yeah, it was dope. I'm glad you were able to be out there, dude. It was definitely a lot of fun. Christian, guilty of being in a. I love your memes, by the way, bro. But yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it's awkward. I'm uncomfortable posting stuff on social media, and even testimonials or people saying great things, right? I've got to do it more because we got to get the message out, and I'm going to do it more, and you guys are gonna see more of that stuff. I'm not gonna like nervous about stuff. So yeah, Auden, I appreciate that, man. Hopefully, got you fired up to go sell some shit. Cool. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap this one up for this week. We'll be back next week. I'm actually going to be going to Alex Becker's webinar. I'm in his Black Card Group Mastermind this weekend. So next week, I'll probably look at doing some recap, sharing with you guys some golden nuggets from that one. That one has cost a lot to be at. But I'll share some big ideas. And we're going to be coming back with, guests. We're going to be coming back with more regular trainings. All kinds of stuff. When I went to Hawaii, things got kind of thrown off in the last 2 weeks with Thanksgiving and travel and all that. But we'll be back. We'll be dominating. Hope you guys got some good shit out of this. I love you all, and we'll talk soon. Let me know if I can help you guys with anything. All right, guys. Have a good one. Yeah.